Peace and welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. I am KRS-ONE. The Temple of Hip Hop is a hip hop preservation ministry, archive, school, and society. We're located at 55 Ludlow Street in Newark, New Jersey. You know, we've been talking about preparing for the August 11th, 12th, and 13th. And for those of you that are coming out, the Temple of Hip Hop is preparing its own private 50th anniversary celebration. We've been doing that anyway. Like for those of us that are members of the Temple of Hip Hop, you will notice that you'll come out to August 11th, 12th, 13th. There'll be festivities at the Temple of Hip Hop in Newark, New Jersey. We're going to be jamming, partying out there. But at the same time, we're also August 12th at Cedar Park. I'll be running between both, but actually do Cedar Park, rock with everybody out there, and then all day the temple will be rocking from the 11th, 12th, and 13th. But on the actual 12th, we're going to, as the temple does its thing in the daytime, we'll be over at Cedar Park. And then as the nighttime comes, we'll be over at the temple in that sense. Cedar Park, by the way, is we have, well, obviously KRS is getting down. I'm grabbing the mic and getting busy. But Talib Kweli is also getting down. Chuck D is also getting down. Kid Capri, Grandmaster Flash, Hakeem Green of Channel Live, Poor Righteous Teachers, Wise Intelligent as usual, and a whole host of other people that is not even mentioned here yet. They haven't confirmed yet, but I talked to all kinds of people that you know they're going to be there. You know they want to be there as well. It's a free jam in the park, Cedar Park. This is how we're doing it. First come, first served basis. Cedar Park is not that big. It's not that big. So, you know, get there early in that sense. However, in Newark, New Jersey, the Temple of Hip Hop will be operating the 11th, 12th, 13th. Just got off the phone too, by the way. Nice conversation with with attorney Ben Crump. You may know who he is, civil rights attorney. Been fighting for well, actually, he's the attorney for Breonna Taylor. He's the attorney for George Floyd. He's the attorney for people who are victims of police misconduct. Attorney Ben Crump. So me and him got together as well to do a project, actually, not just in terms of music, although that's part of it. I will be spitting bars on some kind of musical project, but also to remind people not to forget that, you know, things like the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act has not been passed. Yet, with no disrespect, other groups have gotten their anti-violence bills passed quickly. But when it comes to African Americans, something as serious and as sensitive as the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act still can't get passed. And again, you know, Democrats, Republicans alike are going to be coming around asking for the vote. And here we are again with nothing. You know, so it's just, you know, I don't want to get into a political rant, but I did get off the phone with Ben Crump and Black. What was his name? There was Black. It was C. Black. Blacks. Wow. And we just call him Black, but I want to make sure I get his name right while I'm talking.
Curtis Blacksmith.
Right, Curtis Black. C. Black. That's what I saw. That's what I remember us talking. He spit some dope rhymes as well, which is what got me involved as well with the project. But sometimes it's always refreshing, you know, to talk to people on the front lines doing the real work. And so on. So we may do some kind of an arrangement where Attorney Ben Crump arrives at the Temple of Hip Hop to talk about justice and the need to move forward as well. I was just at the Bronx District Attorney's Office, the Bronx Courthouse actually, giving a keynote address to the Thurgood Marshall mock trial students. These are young attorneys, or young students studying to be attorneys in that sense. And I talked to them about ethics and morals. And it was a room full of judges, you know, Congress people, councilmen and women, the students, and others, journalists, obviously. And I talked about ethics, and I talked about morals, and and they loved it, obviously. But it was a really a great exchange of knowledge going on during that time. So I mention all of this too, by the way. I preface with all of this because it's our time now. It's hip hop's time. We're growing up. We're maturing every day. And some of the things you did in the past, or some of the things you may have thought in the past, you're now seeing that some of those ideas were correct and you should move on them. But you're also seeing that some of these ideas were not correct and you should move away from them. This is what maturity is all about, to admit, not so much I was wrong. That's not what we're talking about, right or wrong. We're talking about childish and adult. We're talking about, yes, we you know, there's Santa Claus, okay? When I was a kid, that was all in my mind. For some of us, that was in my mind, Santa Claus. But now you grew up. Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny. Sure, when you was a child, that may have had some effect on your mind. But as an adult, no, you now know the truth. Well, it's the same thing now with civility. Same thing now with nation building. Same thing now with sovereignty. These are the words now that that are actually coming into view for hip hop. And those that have the eyes to see it, those that have the ears to hear it, will hear and see this. This is not obviously a music genre, a popular music genre. No, this is a way to be. This is a way of life. This is a way to think and act. We're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss civilization. We're going to discuss God and the role of religion right now. I'm going to read from the Gospel of Hip Hop, a couple of pages, but I want to direct your attention over to this idea of nation building, civilization building. This is where we are. That's why we're at 55 Ludlow Street in Newark, New Jersey, because this is the beginning of hip hop building itself out as the civilization we keep asking other people to be toward us. No, let's also be the civilization we'd like to see. Let's be the culture. Let's be the community, the inclusive community that we would like to see in society. Hip hop has this ability, has the ability to do this, to respond to the needs of humanity in and of itself. Another word that we're going to be discussing today. Well, you know what? Let's get right to it then. Let's get right to it, because what I was doing was prefacing our talk with everything that I was saying. But let's get right into it. Turn your gospel right now to page 298. Page 298 of the Gospel of Hip Hop. Page 298 of the Gospel of Hip Hop. Page 298 of the Gospel of Hip Hop. We're going to start our read at paragraph 83. That's paragraph 83, page 298. Paragraph 83, page 298. So, our existence as a temple for hip hop points people back to the timeless ways of God and their own religious traditions. Now, see, the reason I'm reading this section, you'll see also, I'm going to hit several points, and these points are helping us to stay focused on what the goal is. Stay focused on what the meaning of our temple is. Our existence as a temple for hip hop points people back to the timeless ways of God and their own religious traditions. This is why all true and attuned hip hoppers are encouraged to study the principles of all religious faiths, so that we may steer the people of those faiths back to the essence of their own principles and traditions. Our aim is to inspire truth seekers from all backgrounds to continue seeking truth. Simone G. Parker has taught us to be religious. And it's an acronym, religious is an acronym, to Realize every life in God's image offers useful solutions. This is what it means. This is the essence of being religious. Realizing every life in God's image offers useful solutions. So that means the Hindu has a solution. The Buddhist has a solution. The Wiccan has a solution. Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, or Judaism, all of these faiths, and all of these faiths, Yoruba and African traditions, Shinto, and shout out to Japan, and let me just leave out Peru and South America, and all of that. But the point is that all of these traditions have answers. And if you just stuck in one tradition, you're not getting all the answers. And that's just a theological point of view for us to study this within hip hop. We lean toward the Christian faith. Yes, we do. Our traditions lean toward the Christian faith, the Judeo-Christian faith. We lean toward that. But hip hop was heavily influenced by Islam as well, especially the Nation of Islam in particular. Hip hop was heavily influenced in that way, and you can't escape that. And of course, there is Buddhism and Hare Krishnaism, and some hip hoppers have converted to Judaism in their older years as well. So hip hop, again, it's just us as hip hoppers are seeking spiritual light, and our community houses many kinds of religious thoughts, philosophical thoughts. This is what makes our culture so beautiful, that we've managed to synthesize these thoughts into a coherent lifestyle that actually is inclusive of all of these thoughts. How do you do something like that? But we're doing it. And people like me, philosophers like me, we're only pointing it out. We're only pointing out what's already going down. We're not making it happen. We're not causing it to happen. We're pointing out, don't we see what's happening? Let's get organized around what is happening. So I just wanted to point that out, because that line is very important, what G. Simone is teaching us. Realizing every life in God's image offers useful solutions. See, you don't want to get caught up in your religious bigotry. And this is also what pushed a lot of people away from religion to their own disadvantage, really, I will say that, because religion is beautiful. Spirituality is beautiful. And like you always hear me say, whether God exists or whether God don't exist for you, the idea of God exists. And the idea of a loving being governing your life is just a good idea. The idea that the universe knows you and is concerned about you because you're part of the whole is just a good idea. Treating people with respect, charity, forgiveness, mercy, wisdom, understanding, these are just good ideas. So whether you believe in God or walk a spiritual life, the ideas of the belief and the ideas of the life is what is most important. So that's why we teach at the Temple of Hip Hop, that what we teach, what G. Simone just laid out. We realize that every life in God's image offers useful solution. The Muslim got something to say to you. And Muslim, as an acronym, may you see love in me. The Christian gets the cross, constant reminder of self-sacrifice. This is in the glossary of G. Simone's writings. You'll see them at the Temple of Hip Hop as well. These writings are being put together now and will be offered in book form, as well as CD, audio book form as well, when the Temple of Hip Hop gets on its way. We're going in about July 8th, 9th, start renovating the place, start moving. We've already started, actually, but 8th, 9th, we got time to go in, put the art up, start doing our thing like that in preparation. And that's July 8th, 9th, in preparation for the August 11th, 12th, 13th So and we'll get back to that because our committees, we do have committees that are handling this, the 11th, 12th, and 13th, and that's why I'm saying it like this, getting the committees prepared as well for what we're getting ready to do. But we'll talk about that on our committee meetings. Here we're talking specifically about the sight that you have to be spiritual hip-hop, to be hip-hop spiritual. You got to see all religions as holy, period. There's no one religion over another. There's no more holy way to God. Each religion, in fact, all religions are created only by the cultures that is seeking God. You know, if you Hindu, Indian people seeking God, then you've got Hinduism. You've got other kinds of Asian black folk seeking the answer to suffering and the answer to pain and hardship in life. They form Buddhism, denouncement of the world, relieve your senses from the world, this kind of thing. You know, and the list goes on, but everyone has a solution. And if you could put together everybody's solution, well, you have what is called the gospel of hip hop. But no, if you could put together everybody's solution, you actually have the answers. You could navigate your life in a very harmonious way, because anywhere you are, wherever, you're comfortable in church, mosque, synagogue, temple, house, you know, graveyard. It don't even matter. Wherever God is, wherever the Spirit is, you're comfortable and you're not afraid. It's that kind of sight that the hip-hop spiritual life offers. We don't believe in competition between religions. That's silly. What we see is an omnipresent God or an omnipresent intelligence operating through cultures. And it's the cultures that create a Buddhism versus a Hinduism, a Shintoism versus something else, and Christianity versus something else, you know, this kind of thing. It's the cultures that's breaking up the truth so that they can digest it in the language they understand. Hip-hop understands that. And we understand that religious is realizing every life in God's image offers useful solution. Let's continue to read. Discrimination and elitism have no place within the temple of hip-hop. Our gospel exists at a time when we, hip-hop culture, are at our lowest level of political power and organized social influence ourselves. Now, stop here for a minute. This was written before 2009, by the way. This was written before 2009, published in 2009. It's only the fifth overstanding, so it was probably written within the 90s in that sense, because like the 90s was all like over, like the beginning of the book, The Love, Promised Land, New Covenant, overstanding 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to like overstanding 7, the Seventh Sense. That's all the 90s. That's all the 90s. It's after like 2000s, when we get to the 2000s, that we get into like the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, you know, because then we went to the UN. Now you can have a hip-hop declaration of peace. Now you can discuss the UN like we did, discuss the movement and all of that. All that was thrown into the text as well. I say that to say that this part right here, our gospel exists at a time when we, hip-hop culture, are at the lowest level of political power and organized influence ourselves. Now, here's the point. And we had no political influence, had no political power. The mayors of the city were against us. There was wars against rappers, wars against graffiti, wars against this and crime and all this. They were locking us up. There was no friendship, okay? We were at the lowest level of political, and the gospel documents that. Now, here's the prophecy that we knew was going to happen. So when we become, when we become politically powerful and socially organized, we shall know for sure that it is truly God who has lifted us up. This was before we had a hip-hop mayor. This is before Ras Baraka in Newark, New Jersey. This is before all the others like Do It All and others that are running on a hip-hop platform and winning office. This is before all that. This is before all that. But we knew, and that's why this is documented right here. Okay? And what is the prophecy? So when you get to the political power, realize that it is God that has put you there. Because when we were, first let's document that we are clear. At this moment, we are at the lowest level of political power. Let's document that. So when we get to the halls of power, we're going to know that it was only God that brought us there. And we didn't know that either. But here we are. And here we are now in the halls of political power, some 20 years later, even more, like 25 years later. Here we are now discussing, talking with mayors, talking with Bronx Borough president, and not just me, you know, hip hop across the board. I hear Scarface is running for office there in Texas. Jay-Z and others, Talib and others have already been to the White House. Common and others have already been to the White House. Mayors are declaring themselves hip-hop mayors. Senators are calling themselves killer senators. Killer Chuck, talking about Chuck Schumer, and so on. No, hip-hop has come of age. And that's what we're discussing here. I said this earlier. That's what we're discussing here. Our role now as civil officers, our role now at the seat of political power, our role now in the construction or the engineering of society, our role now in that. Are we going to be childish and allow the same sickness, hatred, ignorance, and poverty to continue? Or are we going to grab hold of ourselves, discipline ourselves, and allow health, love, awareness, and wealth to prevail? That's what we up against. This ain't about hating nobody. This ain't about loving nobody. This is about the logic of survival. Just the straight up and down logic of survival. Sickness, hatred, ignorance, and poverty, you can't survive with that. Health, love, awareness, and wealth, you can survive with that. Take your pick. So when we become politically powerful and socially organized, we shall know for sure that it is truly God who has lifted us up. For God has instructed us to enter our inner city and transform its streets. Therefore, open your eye, hip-hopper, for the mind of every hip-hopper is a city of ideas, okay? Look at the analogy. A similar analogy was made with the divine performance, about the headliner, the stage. I talked to you about this. That's why I'm also using this as well. Take a look at how we speak in the gospel. For the mind of every hip-hopper is a city of ideas. Enter your inner city today and transform your streets. Rename your avenues and repair your roads. Focus not upon the criticisms or the praises of the world. Focus only upon the achievement of your life's purpose. Did you hear that? Because there's a lot going on, okay? There's a lot with this. Look at this. Focus not upon the criticisms or the praise of the world. Don't focus on that. You can listen, you can hear, oh, he ain't shit. Oh, he think he that. I can listen to it. Or, yo, he's the greatest. He's the best. Okay, I'll listen to that too. Don't get caught up in either one. This path doesn't require criticism or praise. This path requires that you stay on purpose. Take a look. Focus not upon the criticisms or the praises of the world. Focus only upon the achievement of your life's purpose. Behold, We have already defied the institutions of the world. Imagine what we can achieve by believing in the divinity of ourselves. Enter your inner city. The population of one city is the ideas one has allowed citizenship to in one's mind. Like, look at that. The population of your city are the ideas you allow in your mind. For every hip-hopper is the mayor of her city. And it is the wise mayor who productively directs the population of one city toward peace and prosperity. This is long before the temple at 55 Ludlow, long before the confirmation of Mayor Ras Baraka, long before we could not see this, but we did see it. And we proved to ourselves not only that God exists, but that the power of the mind is one with that. God communicates through mind. The cleaner your mind, the clearer your mind, the more you hear the intelligence of the universe. The more it empowers you, especially if you focus there. But if you're a non-believer, if you just don't believe, and see, that's the beginning too, believe. Do you really believe that there is an intelligence in this universe that keeps everything in order and in harmony? And that intelligence loves you, cares about you. In fact, you're part of it. You're part of the intelligence. You're here for a reason. You're here for a purpose. This is what it is. So once you realize every life in God's image offers a solution, you will come to a higher level of understanding about yourself. You know, a couple of days ago, I did a concert in Pittsburgh. And I told the people on stage, I said, I was moved to say this. I said, you are a survivor. And I didn't know why. I was just saying, you are a survivor. If you're standing in this park, it was an open park. I say, if you're standing in this park, if you can stand in this park, not only are you a survivor, because the last 5 years kicked everybody's ass, okay? So if you're standing in this park, you are strong and you are a survivor. And then I went on to say, and not only that, but you are wise. You made the right decisions. No matter what you think of yourself, no matter what failure you may have had, no matter what it is, if you could stand in this park right now and listen to KRS-ONE, you obviously made all kinds of other right decisions for you to be able to stand there. And I thought about even the words coming out of my own mouth, and they strengthened me. Because I realized no matter what I'm doing and the failures, or this one don't want to act right, or this one can't provide, or this, that, and the other, for me to be able to even stand on the stage means that I made the right decision all the way up to that point. It means that I survived all the way up to the point of doing that show. You know, and so you can't take your blessings for granted. You can't keep focusing on what you don't have or what you didn't get. You got to focus your attention on what you do have and what you're gonna get. And so that's what we're now. And that's why I'm reading this to you and putting it in perspective, because our prophecies are coming true. Our visions of ourselves are coming true. Our affirmations are coming true. Our wish boards are coming true. People can criticize this whole idea of mind over matter. They can criticize it as wishful thinking. They call it magical thinking and all this stuff, and tries to discard it. Like the movie Wonder Woman, 1984, tries to make the positive thinker a villain in the movie. No, grab hold of yourself. We're showing you with the Temple of Hip Hop in real time how we are growing our mind to help our people. This is what it's all about, because I tell you, if you ever want to speed up your affirmation or your vision you have of yourself, try helping somebody else with that vision. The universe will speed your whole deal up. You'll be moving faster than you can even think if you include the help of other people within your purpose or with your purpose. The universe loves that. The universe loves cooperation, harmony, people working together. The universe does not deal with conflict, doesn't like conflict. In fact, even in conflict, the universe tries to birth something new out of conflict. It's always creation. The universe is creation because even destruction must be created. So it's all creation. Destruction really is just a useless creation. Something you can't use or something that can't be used anymore by you only, really. That's what destruction is. But even destruction must be created. And get this, creation cannot be destroyed then. Because even destruction must be created. So creation is eternal. And the universe seeks to create and create on creations. And create on create. They call it evolution. You know, this guy, but creation on creation, on creation, on creation, into infinity. And you are part of that creative process. Everyone is. That's why we realize that every life in God's image offers a useful solution. Look at this too. I want to read these words about mayors and all of this again. And it is the wise mayor who productively directs. Oh, okay, I got it. It is the wise mayor. Oh, wait a minute, let me find the wise mayor. The wise mayor who productively directs the population of one city toward peace and prosperity. Oh, low battery. Hold on. Sorry about that. My little tech deal is this thing never gets the battery power that it's supposed to. So I'm gonna hurry up and read this before my battery goes out and get this done. I won't deviate much too more because my battery is actually on this module is actually getting lower. But let's get to the point then. Okay, continue peace and prosperity. Crime does not exist in the city that nurtures the dreams and goals of its population. And that's just true of any city, okay? Crime does not exist in the city that nurtures the dreams and goals of its population. Do not be afraid to walk the streets of your own inner city. Enter your inner city and transform the streets of your own mind. Such teaching is the essence of the gospel of hip-hop. For we know who we are. We need not validation. We need not the validation of anyone or anything to substantiate who and what we are. For it is God alone that builds nations, and for these reasons we are obedient to God, the love that continues to bless us. Quote, what is the X blessing? The X blessing is the drawing near of unidentified sons and daughters. It's when God begins to draw near those that have not yet been identified and then begins to open the eyes of his people so that they can recognize them. And this is why I am preaching to you, because you got to know what God is up to. The religious will miss this. Did you hear that? If you don't realize, and he's talking about the religious, you know, these people who are stuck in one thing. And G. Simone points out what religious really means. Every life in God's image offers useful solutions. This gentleman here, who's Bishop Clarence E. McClendon, is talking about you religious in the church, only Christian church, and you think your way is the only way. You don't see no other way. The way you dress is the only way. The way you talk is the only way. The way you interpret the Bible is the only right way. That person who we call religious. The religious will miss it. The regular church-going folk, which is what he's talking about, are not going to be part of this, but the spiritual will be. End quote. And that's Bishop Clarence E. McClendon, The X Blessing, Part 3 from 1999. Did you hear this? From 1999. That's why I was saying this whole thing was written even about, say, 95. Okay, 95. Then we get up to this part and we get to like 99. We get like to, we're at the end of this here. And look at that. At the turn of the century, these are the predictions that we can already see for our culture. And the gospel of hip hop is preparing hip hoppers already for what we know is about to go down. This is us. This is hip hop. God has chosen us for a great work. Let us not reject the invitation of God. Let us finally get prepared to answer the door. God now seeks refuge in the temples of our inner cities. Open your door of awareness. Open your door of awareness and let God in. Hip-hop culture appreciates God. We shall feed our God, clothe our God, love our God, and restore our God to strength in our inner cities. And notice the spelling on God. For our God shall find strength in the temples of hip-hop. The last days of other nations shall be the first days for the hip-hop nation. We must believe in ourselves. We must enter our own inner cities and make them worthy of God's presence. Behold, hip-hoppers, the presence of the one God is now. Prepare your inner cities for the presence of your God. Such is the teaching of our temple, and for these reasons we are obedient to God, the love that guides our direction. Prepare yourself now. The presence of God is sudden, for it is always some unseen disaster or even blessing that instantly changes the world and its power structure. So let us be prepared. Let us always be prepared for the activity of God in the world. We know that when the world rejoices, the spirit of justice mourns. And when the spirit of justice rejoices, it is the world that mourns. The failed plans of an unjust and disobedient world are a victory for justice. Choose today who and what you shall represent. Through your own thoughts, speech, and actions, choose today who you shall be and become. If you are hip-hop, do not deny your own protection and power by doubting your true identity and disrespecting the gospel that is before you now. Don't be a hypocrite. Be what God has given you your strength and skill for. I'm paying real attention to this, and you need to as well. We're being called to prepare ourselves, our minds, our physical bodies, our environments. Prepare yourself for God to enter the temple. And the physical of it is us entering the temple of hip hop at 55 Ludlow. But we can't enter with weak minds, clouded minds, feared minds, broken bodies, sickly bodies, torn clothing. Come on. We got to walk in with clear minds, strong bodies, and prosperous. You don't walk into a temple looking to become prosperous. That's where corruption starts. You walk into a temple already prosperous, already with health, love, awareness, and wealth. That's how you get to walk in to the temple. Let's get prepared. Paragraph 95. For we would rather appear contradictory to the world yet be consistent with God than to be contradictory to God so that we may appear consistent with the world. The opinions of an ignorant and temporary world are valueless when compared to the wisdom and heavenly conditions of the loving and eternal God. Choose today whose approval you shall prepare for. Such a choice shall eventually relieve your frustrations and doubts. But it does not stop here. Now this is where we go further. And I'm going to read this quickly because I see the batteries going, but I got to get this piece in about civilization. But it does not stop here. For as more hip-hoppers begin building up their inner cities, such a process shall bring our hip-hop outer city into physical manifestation. Do you hear this? Such an inward process shall firmly establish our outer reality. This begins our social movement and the true meaning of our hip-hop civilization. Our concept of civilization begins with a serious focus upon one's human skills independent of technological knowing and or assistance. Black's Law Dictionary describes civilization as, quote, a law, an act of justice or judgment which renders a criminal process civil. This is what civilization is in law. Black's Law continues. What is civilization? A term which covers several states of society. It is relative and has no fixed sense, but implies an improved and progressive condition of the people living under an organized government. It consists not merely in material achievements, in accomplishments in culture, science, and knowledge, but also in doing, look at this, but also in doing of equal and exact justice. Justice is the basis of civilization. If you live in an unjust society, you ain't living in a civilization. And that's why a lot of the problems that we're facing within the American society can't be fixed, because you don't live in a civilization. You live in a technological society, which is broken unto itself. It's really just a free-for-all. There is no real law being practiced. There's no accountability, no responsibility, no sense of morality, ethics, responsibility. All of this is lost. And the Temple of Hip Hop has to ask it, not even ask itself, but the Temple of Hip Hop has to restore these characteristics of leadership back to our culture. If everybody else wants to be corrupt and do whatever they want to do whatever you want to do. But when it comes to hip hop, we have to follow the timeless principles that build cultures, that build civilizations. We got to take it seriously. And each and every person is a brick in that civilization. If your brick is weak, if your link in the chain is weak, you're the weak link in the chain, you're going to mess it up for everybody. And that's the responsibility. The responsibility is, I'm going to stand upright. I'm going to do what's right, think what's right, eat what's right. Why? Not just for me, but because I belong to a community that's eating right, doing right, thinking right, being right, and so on. I'm joining in with high-level thinkers that have the ability to discipline themselves even against the temptations of the world. Advancing the concept of the inner city outside of the spiritual realm and into the social realm, we find that just because a nation has made a variety of advancements in the field of technology does not mean that such a nation has become civilized. A nation's inner cities must be peaceful, prosperous, and secure for that nation to have domestic tranquility. Technology does not measure the existence of one's humanity. Look at this. Technology does not measure the existence of one's humanity. Neither does technological skill, nor intelligence, nor do power and influence measure and or define civilized human behavior. Tech skills, etc., are the tools for human survival. They are not survival itself. Indeed, these tech tools are very important to the survival and further development of the human being, but still, tools do not define one's humanity. How you live, how you love defines your humanity. Your ability to solve problems and the way in which you do so defines your humanity. The ability to think and act beyond your own personal wants and achievements defines your humanity. Your character defines your humanity. What kind of human are you? What can you do without technological assistance? What can you command your body and or mind to do independent of your tools? Self-control, as an example, is a human skill that technology cannot really produce. Care is a human skill. Speech is a human skill. Writing is a human skill. Thinking is a human skill. Hip-hop is a human skill. Even the creation of technology itself is a human skill. Technology, and see, keep in mind too, I want to say this again, even the creation of technology is a human skill. See, people get so caught up in the technology, you forget that technology is a creation of humanity. Humans are doing this. So you have AI and you have all these threats and, oh, it's going to destroy humanity and this, that, and the other. Look what the clouded mind does with great technology. Look what the tormented mind does to great technology. It immediately says it's going to destroy the world. It immediately says it's going to destroy humanity. It's always destroy, destroy, destroy. And that's what it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's what makes this whole AI thing really kind of terrorizing for others. Because you know damn well that if you had that technology, you would destroy yourself and others. But hip-hoppers can't think like that. If we had that technology, we would heal ourselves and others. We would free ourselves and others. We would bring peace and prosperity to ourselves and to others. That's a clear mind. We're bringing health, love, awareness, and wealth through the technology to others. Because this is what defines your humanity, not the technology, but what you do with it. Now, if you're going to give up your humanity for technology, technology is commonly thought of as the science of mechanical and industrial arts, whereas civilization is commonly thought of as an advanced stage in developing societies. Which do you value more? Civilization includes intellectual, cultural, and material development. It includes progress in the arts and sciences, as well as writing, record keeping, and the development of social institutions, all of which are present and gradually maturing within hip-hop today. And that's back before 1999. Technology is the scientific method and or material used to achieve a commercial and or industrial objective. This is how hip-hop is used today. Notice the spelling on hip-hop. It is used as a tool of commerce, not as a means toward better human relations. In light of this, hip-hop culture shall always make use of its technologies and technological innovations, not just for industrial and or commercial interests, but also for the actual sustainment of civilized society. Technology is the application of a refined science, whereas civilization is the application of a refined mind. Technological advancement is not civilization. That's the point here. To be truly civilized, human beings must interact with each other in advanced manners. To be truly civilized, we must first be human. To be truly civilized, we must first be human. We must reinforce our quest for human rights with an unshakable commitment toward human duties. Know this, humanity is God's technology. The more you master God's technology, the less you will need to depend upon the world's technology. You know, and let me say this as well. You know, always remember that those that invented writing, whatever those ancient humans were that invented writing, they themselves could not write. Those that invented numbers and counting, they themselves could not count. Now, eventually they probably did, eventually. But on Monday, you was whoever you was. Like before, like if writing came out on Wednesday, who were you on Monday? Writing is getting ready to come out on Wednesday. Monday, you're not a writer. You don't even know what it is. But the mind that doesn't know what writing is the mind that's getting ready to create writing. But when you create writing and you become the mind that writes, you no longer have the mind that created writing. Do you understand that? You no longer have, there is a mind, there's a state of mind that exists that way because it can't write, because it's illiterate. It does not count like that with numbers and mathematics. There's a mind that's fully functioning, highly intelligent, and obviously it is, because the mind that is illiterate is the mind that came up with writing, came up with letters even, symbols for sounds and stuff like that. The mind that couldn't count is the mind that invented numbers and counting. So you got to think to yourself, what kind of mind would I have if I relied less on technology and more on the mind that creates technology? Instead of worrying about artificial intelligence, why don't I just strengthen my organic intelligence? It seems that the cure or the check on artificial intelligence is the perfection of organic intelligence. Because it's only it's the polluting of organic intelligence that's giving you the scare on artificial intelligence. If you had your organic intelligence together, you would make artificial intelligence serve the organic or serve the purpose of good. But if your organic intelligence is corrupted from the beginning with selfishness, hatred, ignorance, jealousies and fears and doubts and all that, if your mind is caught up in all of that, you're not even going to see. Matter of fact, all you're going to see is AI is going to destroy humanity. You can't even think about AI can help us to live longer. Why don't you ask that question? AI, how do we live forever? Oh, if you eat more apples, you might, what? We're not even asking the right questions. We just want to die. Come on, man. Hip-hop got to be a little better than that. And that's why we're reading this. Know this, humanity is God's technology. The more you master God's technology, the less you will need to depend upon the world's technology. God's technology heightens productive human interactions, creating the effect of civilization. It does not matter how technologically advanced a nation is. Government corruption, racism, murder, theft, deceit, selfishness, greed, cruelty, etc. are not advanced human interactions. To be truly civilized, one must first be humane. One must first be refined in learning, morality, and social manners, the cause of civilization. Look at what causes civilization. Refined in learning, morality, refined in your learning, refined in your morality, and refined in your social manners, how you treat others. This is the cause of civilization. Integrity, peace, love, unity, happiness, charity, respect for life, respect for one's environment, artistic, intellectual, spiritual, and political refinement, etc., are indeed advanced human interactions. And it is these advanced interactions amongst human beings that the Temple of Hip Hop seeks to promote and preserve. In case you got it twisted along this study somewhere, this is explicit. This is what we are about. This is what it means to be part of this Temple of Hip Hop. Such a promotion and preservation of civilized human behavior begins with us. As hip hoppers, we must be civilized if we expect others to be. And those who live the hip hop lifestyle are indeed civilization builders. This not only means having concern for the public good and the peace of a society's citizens. This also means respecting and perfecting our human abilities over the advancement of our technological achievements. Perfect your human abilities over technological achievements. This is what hip-hop's 9 elements are all about. Each element commits the hip-hopper to the perfection of her human abilities. Breaking, MCing, graffiti art, DJing, beatboxing, street fashion, street language, street knowledge, and street entrepreneurialism. These elements remind you, ground you in your humanity. In fact, hip-hop may be one of the last truly human expressions free from technological dependency. Yes, We have yes, we have used, and will continue to use technology to advance our lives and art. But when technology fails, the true hip hopper can still express hip hop because hip hop does not need technology to exist. It is a human skill. It is God's technology. A deeper understanding of hip hop can give us a deeper understanding of technology and its productive uses. In the fast-moving, rapidly growing world of technological innovation, it is this awareness, human awareness and skill, that is most important to preserve if we are to preserve true hip-hop, as well as our own peace of mind in a technological world. Let me read this last part. I'm going to come to the end on this. Here it is, because I want to pinpoint what I'm talking about here when we talk about civilization and human skills. The questions are, what can you do without technological assistance? That's a big question. What valuable thing can your hands or body produce without technological assistance? This is going to be so important in the future. If you dependent only on a computer to make you who you are, this is not going to, you're going to be weakened in the future. The idea of perfecting your human abilities, your speech, your handwriting, your character, charity, peace, like human abilities, okay? That's what's going to place you above, put you on the outside of, have you walk in a whole different path than those that are going to be stuck in a technological world dictated to by a computer. And this is what I wanted to say. Again, hip-hop is a human skill. Breaking, MCing, graffiti writing, and beatboxing are human skills. DJing as cutting, mixing, and scratching is also a human skill. However, it is the cutting, mixing, and scratching aspects of DJing that make it a human skill. It is not just the creation of technology that is the human skill. It is what you do with such technology that is the value of one's human skill. Human intelligence in manipulating existing objects produces technologies of all sorts. But after such technology is produced, we cannot forget the mind or the creative process that produced it. Yes, turntables are a form of music technology, but it is cutting, mixing, and scratching that are indeed the human skills brought to turntable technology. This is what many DJs lack today. They rely upon music technology to define their DJing, as opposed to relying upon their DJing to define the use of their music technologies. In addition to knowing little about the other elements of hip-hop, many of today's DJs focus more upon the manipulation of technological innovation to exist, beat making, rather than on the perfection of their cutting, mixing, and scratching abilities. Still, breaking, MCing, and beatboxing require no technologies at all to exist. You can produce and perform the act of breaking, MCing, and beatboxing anywhere and at any time, without any money or clothing, or even a microphone, or even recording devices, without even light. You can still produce breaking, MCing, and beatboxing at will. These sacred elements to our culture require no technology to exist. They are human skills. And this is where one's hip-hop lifestyle habit begins. Final paragraph. Hip-hop reminds us of what it means to be truly human. Hip-hop conditions us to communicate with one another in person and not just over the internet or through a cellular phone. The true hip-hop was born out of the Great Spirit and remains a mental and physical human activity. As we perfect our human skills, we also strengthen ourselves against the technological dominance of those who wish to exploit us and our resources. The truth is that we hip-hoppers must never forget, is that, quote, no power on earth can defeat those that have perfected themselves. This is the key. No power on earth can defeat those that have perfected themselves. That's going to conclude our read for today. I urge you to be a civilized human being. I urge you to not just talk civilization, but act it out. Hatred is not civilized. Anger, war, deceit, lies, this is not civilization. It's not civilized. It is health, love, awareness, and wealth. It is peace and prosperity. It's care for one another, protection of one another, lifting one another up. This is the society that hip-hop has to become, because there is no other survival for us. We have to learn to get along with one another, stop slandering one another. We have to deal with the pain that we are feeling because of one another. This is why forgiveness is so important. Charity is so important. Mercy is so important in the building of civilization. Without mercy, charity, and forgiveness, you can forget it. We're forever going to be slaves to those that practice these principles. You can judge people all day. Oh, I don't like him. Oh, he's a thief. Oh, he's a liar. But believe, the reason certain groups have certain power, and some over us, is because they practice these principles. They show each other mercy for the most heinous crimes. They show each other forgiveness for you know the resources were stolen. But they forgive one another. They have mercy on one another. They show charity to one another. One thief can help another thief. One murderer is ready to help another one. But here we are, peace-loving people, but arguing amongst ourselves. Here we are with the greatest hip-hop culture, the most prosperous urban movement on the planet. And here we are unorganized, can't connect with each other, don't respect leadership, suffering because we can't understand what law is, what order is, what civilization is. And that's why people are getting over on us every day. But we're going to fight, and we're going to grow, and we're going to mature. And that's what the Temple of Hip Hop is all about. I thank you for this day. I thank you for this week and for this read. We're going to continue. Like I said, shout out to everybody in the Bronx. August 12th will be at Cedar Park doing our thing. Shout out to Chuck D, Talib Kweli, Wise Intelligent, Kid Capri, Grandmaster Flash, Hakeem Green, and a whole host of others. Curtis Blow and the whole crew. HHA, Hip Hop Alliance, Stop the Violence Movement as well. Big up to Special Ed and Corrupt of the Dog Pound. We're getting ready to go into Chicago and spread a word of peace and prosperity over there as well, and so on. The mission continues. We're on the front lines with it, and this is what it is. So I bid you farewell and good, positive vibes, positive vibes. Oh yeah, Simone said Happy Father's Day, by the way. At the end, right? At the very end, we just throw that in. Yeah, by the way, Happy Father's Day. And it is the truth. Happy Father's Day to all fathers. Those that are holding down their house, those that are raising their kids, loving their wife, loving the mother, loving the grandfather and the elder as well. Big up to all fathers right now. Because look, in a time where fathers are scarce, to those that have fathers, you need to go run and hug your father real quick and let him know that he's appreciated and that that he's appreciating that you love him straight up and down. That's what Father's Day is all about. At least one day, if you don't, and same thing with Mother's Day as well. Oh, and speaking of Mother's Day, Simone's album drops June 28th. Get ready for that as well. It's called Such a Feeling. We premiered one of her videos was premiered on Mother's Day during Hip Hop Appreciation Week as well. So big up, we're moving forward. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you for joining us today. Temple of Hip Hop, thank you.